touched on some norms on, that boards have. And if, I don't know if we want to put that on the agenda this time or next
I think
time.
we can bring that back.
Back, okay. What the norms are just of your board and kind of, it's just kind of your courtesy, your manners, and I think it would be nice to kind of reach and have those.
Those are the 2 questions if you wanted them.
Oh, okay.
Basically, she put on the board 2 questions that everybody at their table had to answer, and it says, what do I need to be for a high-functioning member of the board, and what contributions will I commit to as a member of the board? So then everybody went around the table, and then we kind of played like a, I don't know if you want to call it a game, but you got to pick east, north, south, west, which is kind of entertaining because Kelly was
The only one that was
a south,
south.
which means that she was a caring board member. And it was really kind of entertaining. Mike and I were both Westies, so we were fighting with the Easties. And it was, we can bring that back and see, it was kind of neat to do that. But the lady that gave it, I can't remember her name. Louise, wonderful. I mean, she got everybody talking, everybody opened up, so it was really a...
And we also did find out there was that other school district that had just lost their superintendent
Yep.
too and just gone through the search, so, and they said there was still a lot of great superintendents out there, so it was kind of reassuring, so.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah, a lot of people were where we were. And Mark, I think you attended one, and
totally.
yeah, how did that go?
It was all right, a lot of it was pretty thought they were gonna get more in depth, they kinda had a lot of highlights in the stuff, and they just kind of pretty much breezed over it. I mean, it's hard to have a really informative thing, you get in depth, and it was only 2.5, 3 hours long. Should be a little bit longer.
Okay. Anything upcoming? Kelly?
Anything else, Mike, you wanted to do?
Nope.
Okay. Yes, and then I do have for upcoming on the WSB, there's regional meetings and workshops, and they go by regions again, and there was one, I believe, in Rockchild that will be coming up, so, and that's in October, I believe, so if anybody's interested in that, we do have that. Just check with me, or it's on, well, it used to be on the site, that's all I have.
Okay. CISA 9?
CISA 9 report is in your packet. Drive for reading. Concludes my report.
Oh, okay. Item 13C, legal counsel. Dean, we saved you for last.
I apologize for not arriving. I was at another meeting. As you know, I've served as legal counsel for the Mosinee School District for a long time. And a long time means probably close to 40 years. A couple of weeks ago, I submitted my resignation to the law firm of Ruder Ware. And I'm resigning from being a shareholder in that firm. As of September 4, I'm actually going to be opening my own law firm in downtown Wausau with a couple of other lawyers. And we're going to be focusing on school law, local government law, employment relations law, and basically opening what we call in the legal profession a boutique law firm. You, as the school board of the Mosinee School District, will be receiving a letter from the Ruder Ware law firm probably next week. And that letter will indicate that you have the right to transfer the files and the representation from the Ruder Ware firm to the Dietrich Vanderwall firm. Or you may ask that your files be provided to you and pursue and find another attorney to represent you. The significance of that, being candid and straightforward, is Ruder Ware does not have lawyers able to provide school law representation. They told me that I should notify the school law clients that I had with Ruder Ware that they will not be able to provide those services. It is my intent to communicate with you separately on behalf of the Dietrich Vanderwall law firm that we very much would like to continue to represent the Mosinee School District. It is my intent to provide to you a proposed rate, which will be lower than the rate I am currently billing as a lawyer with the Ruder Ware law firm. So this will all be occurring over the course of the next 5-6 days. My departure from the Ruder Ware firm is congenial. I've been with that firm for 28 years, so it certainly was a challenging decision for me. Some of you may know, most of you probably don't know, that I have just underwent cancer surgery. They have successfully removed the cancer, so I am apparently cancer-free as of today or yesterday. I still have some recovery issues I'm working on, and I'm not going to go any further than that under the circumstances. But I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you and to explain what is transpiring in person, rather than simply receiving a letter from the Ruder Ware firm. We'll be communicating with you, and any you as a board would have a right to consider. In the meantime, certainly I'm here to provide those services on any type of basis, certainly on an interim basis as well, if you choose that you want to do something else. So I thank you for the opportunity to present to you. I'll be forwarding documents to you shortly. Any questions, anything?
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, you're very well. Thank you.
Dean, you are staying for closing,
Yeah.
correct?
Okay.
Yes. That was a motion. Okay, so this is set up as a discussion and possible decision.
End of discussion, I would say, I think until Dean sends us, here's a rate and here's,
Right. Okay.
that I think it's premature to
Table
make
it.
a decision. Great.
Okay, we have a motion by Mark and a second by Kelly to table this until September?
One quick question, Dean, if we tabled it for a month, will there be a period of time where we don't have legal representation in the next month?
No, I just as you do when you talk about officers, you know, I think it's important, and I would continue to serve as counsel until you make any other decision.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Now, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, future agenda items. Just a note, I know we talked about bringing back some policies with Neola, but it doesn't appear he's coming in September. We're gonna have enough on our plate in September. So he's coming in October, and I believe he said we had 45 or so to review. So these are just changes, correct? Then updates to ones that are,
Yeah, ones that they've initiated because of law changes or
Right.
some practice reasons, similar to what he's done other times.
correct.
So that does not include any that we want to.
That is correct.
True.
So, just ahead of time, he appreciated that anybody of the board that have policies that you want to review and maybe look for possible changes, send them to me, to Brent, and we'll get them over to Steve, or I can give, and then he will shoot it back to save some time, so when he comes in October, he would possibly be ready for a first reading of them with that change in place, with the correct wording.
So the two that I have, I should send to you?
Yep, or you just, if you have that, you want to give that to me, I can do that too. Thanks.
There may be some that, quite honestly, would be best served if they were done in a timely fashion versus two readings. By the end of 2018, they'll be active, you know,
Right.
so.
It doesn't mean you can't still bring them forward to September. We can still send them to him, to Steve.
Okay, I'll make a list and send it to you.
Okay, I have your other list, if you're adding more to that.
Yeah, I'll probably amend the list and send more, sorry.
No, that's fine, I can try the way.
Okay. Future agenda item, if possible, I would like to add
to our next meeting to try to bring back or discuss the potential cell phone policy, to see if that is something that we can and should try to implement before the start of the school.
Okay, so could do that at our annual agenda meeting prior to the meeting and have a special meeting prior to that meeting.
Perhaps, yes.
Do you know the changes you would like that we can get to him, send him some ideas?
Yes, yep, sure.
Okay, can you shoot those over
I can.
to Brent or I?
We already approved the student handbooks for the year, so I don't know how we could go, and they've already gone through and signed
Sure,
the
yeah,
sheet
good point.
saying that
Good
they've
point.
already accepted the handbook, so
It
it may be
require an
difficult to
amendment.
change it for this year.
They would require an amendment. The way things fell here.
Just throwing that out there.
Yep, no, it's a valid point.
Do you still wanna look at that, or?
I
think it's worth a discussion at least.
I believe so too.
So I think I would like to leave that on there and discuss it, and then if anything, we can get further input from the staff.
Okay, if you can, I know I gave you and Kevin 3 policies that Steve had forwarded from other districts. So if you take a look at those are something they already had set up.
Yep.
Okay.
I would like to, if we can, possibly look at, I'm sure everybody's aware that St. Paul's Catholic Church has shut down their school for this year.
Suspended.
Yes, suspended it, yes. So it's not, yeah, totally. So we may have a fluctuation of students. And I'm wondering if we want to look at that, just to be prepared and be proactive on that.
Yeah.
Right now, what I pulled up from here is we have the first grade, the max, I believe, Katie, what was it, 20? We weren't gonna go over 24, 20?
24.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is now there's one, they're pretty much maxed out. And it may not even have to be if none of them transfer over, but if they do, we're short of space and we're short on teachers. And the parents had asked us once already, so if,
But it's
I don't know if we'll
important to
have more.
note, as always, we know about everybody that might be coming soon, but I mean, I said to Diane, you got a dozen people that are leaving their school districts, and people that leave don't tell you when they're
Right.
leaving. So ideally, it would be best if we look at this, what
So you-
happens when they actually, talk about the count. and
so
we
you
get the
wanna wait
September.
till the start of school is what you're saying?
We gotta see who comes, because people that leave don't typically tell. Just like I said, we had 12 parents that decided to leave their school district, and they have no clue, though I know they're leaving. And we will send the schools that they're leaving, but a lot of times, people leave and don't say something. So oftentimes, after 30 years of this, we always know about the people coming in, but we don't know about the people leaving. So before you worry too much, let's kind of see what happens once school starts. Because that'll give you a true indicator, Kelly, of what will happen.
We
Not
told
just-
students they had it, wasn't it?
What?
The total number of students they had was,
No, I think for the whole school with 4K, it was like 39 is what I had on my, with the 4K kids.
less than that.
It may be less, depending on when they gave you the number, but yeah, it's a small population. And they also have St. Mark's in play that I guess my understanding from talking to parishioners is that they're gonna pay to bus kids.
They will, I
St.
just
Mark.
don't anticipating a lot of parents busing the first graders up to Wausau. But I don't know either, I just didn't know if you wanted to be proactive in that, we can, I guess, wait if that's what you suggest, but I know the parents we may be hearing from some, so I'll leave it at that.
So do you wanna wait and see what progresses after the start of the school year?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. The only thing I had, I noticed in our emails, Julie, there might be a question for you, that CTE law that was beginning July of 2019, did you see that? That they're gonna restructure or bring that back?
I didn't, Diane, I'm not sure.
I'll
what
forward
you're-
that to you, I think
Okay.
maybe just the board gets it, but it just came the other day, and it looked, they said they're gonna bring it back in July of 2019, the Carl Perkins. They were just renaming it, for the tech ed classes. and what we
I
needed.
think Scott helps us manage Carl Perkins through the high school.
Right, so it just, the Congress reauthorizes it every,
Right.
I don't know how many years. So I don't know if it's just up for reauthorization next year would be my guess, I'm
Could
not.
be.
Yeah, I'll shoot it your way.
Okay.
I still left it in my email.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't gotten any notification, have you?
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it
so-
just said what to
We
be
can
ready
look
for
at it.
of July of 19,
Right.
so I'll
Sure.
shoot it to you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes. So previously I'd asked that at a future agenda item would be that this body discuss the issues surrounding Mr. Thiel's conflict, the risk that it potentially puts the board. Didn't see it on tonight's agenda.
I believe that was all forwarded to you via Dean,
What was forwarded to me.
the information, if you're talking about the email that you sent back a few weeks.
Yeah, that everybody got. That said that, I believe it was Dean's opinion that he shouldn't be the chair of that committee. It was Wasby's recommendation as well, if I'm interpreting that. So I think it should be discussed with the board, whether or not that's a risk for him personally and this board as a body.
And I believe Dean covered that in the email and said Wasby was a little, if I remember correctly, a little gray in that area and not exact.
So do we discuss it now, or are we gonna have it as an agenda item?
I believe we had that in a closed session.
Did not.
No, we didn't, but it was going to be in a closed session, but when I spoke with Dean prior to this meeting,
So
he said
are you denying my request?
I'm not denying your request, what I am telling you that prior to Ann leaving, had set up a meeting between Dean and Kevin, and my understanding that everything was taken care of.
So how is that gonna be communicated to all the board members?
You were forwarded some information from Ann at her last board meeting. Everybody was.
I don't agree with that.
Do you need to relook that back up? I think that was on your computer even.
Their opinions were that something should change to protect his interest and the board.
Well, Dean is staying,
I can see it.
okay, so you can discuss that with him, it wasn't too close.
So you're saying, no, you don't want this on the agenda?
Well, I would say you can talk to him about your
I'm
communication
asking
and
for
bring
it
it
to be an
back.
agenda item. I'm not asking to talk to Dean, I can talk to Dean on my own.
Well, we will put it on the agenda if you're not satisfied with what his response is when you talk to him.
Diane? I want
Cory.
it on the agenda. I'm asking for it to be on the
All
agenda.
right, I will write it down.
I also would like to know why there's been no public press release on the superintendent change, which is fueling speculation within our community. We heard that tonight in the open session. Has no one, the leadership of this board hasn't put out any press release or said, here's what happened, to try to.
No,
And I know
they,
how the board reacts whenever I say
they would-
Mosinee rumors.
well,
Well, guess what's going on, boys and girls?
They were
Well-
all represented here.
yes, they were here. I had a young gentleman the night of that board meeting that took down some information, and I had Channel 9 contact me, Channel 7 contact me. Everything that they asked for was sent to them. We had the Gannett paper also request some information, and I had asked Dean for what we could say and what we needed to say, and that was all taken care of.
Okay, but was it communicated with the entire board?
Yes.
How did you communicate it to the entire board?
Well, if you would have been at the meeting, you would have
So
been.
that's, if you can't be at a meeting, doesn't mean you're out
Well,
of the communication loop.
I do recall that we'd asked you to call if you had any questions. You refused to call and want to communicate via email, which I responded to that already. So if you can't
Where
pick
did
up
you
the
respond to that at? Via what
via
email
your
address?
email. And I also made it very clear with Ann as well, because you were basically getting close to trying to create a walking quorum.
When, where, what?
I'm not gonna go on any further. We will put it, do you have anything
You
further?
don't in an open session accuse me of starting a walking quorum and then walk away from
When
it.
you are emailed and it says, do not respond to this email, and you chose to respond with everybody, that is, with everybody included, more than once,
More than once.
yes. More than once.
And how does that come close to a walking quorum?
Because if anybody else would have responded, and Dean can tell you that as well, you could have
I'm
been
well
engaged
aware
with.
of how they're walking
Yes.
forums for them.
We're in our future agendas, would you like to continue for
You're the one
anything
that
future?
brings up other issues under future forum, not me.
Would you
Okay, I'm
like
gonna
to
ask that
continue?
we stick to future agenda items
Yes.
and move forward to closed
Thank
session.
you.
Thank you.
I had requested and did receive, thank you, a copy of our past superintendent, or actually our exiting superintendent, and our interim superintendent. One of the issues that's being concerned about in the community, as we heard tonight, was a buyout or the cost of Ann leaving. I think Brett's our second, you're the second highest paid individual in the district, are
That
we
would
not?
be accurate.
That would be accurate. I'd like to know what it's gonna cost us when he leaves. I'd like the cost comparison between the two.
I'm sorry, you lost me for a second. Can you just repeat what the comparison you're looking for is?
I look, our cost, every time somebody leaves, there's a cost,
Sure.
right? So, we got our number one paid employee leave, and people are talking and making up wild accusations. We have he's our interim, he's our number two. He's no spring chicken. He's gonna be leaving soon. What's his cost going to be? I think that should be fleshed out. so
Just
that
the
people
cost
know.
of administrators separating from here, whether it be the superintendent or Brent. I think that's a valid thing to put on the agenda.
I think so too, but we'll see how everybody else goes.
No, it's on there. Okay, anybody else?
I would like us to address the issue of sharing specific information between individual board members. Earlier in this session right here, you talked about you've got board members asking questions or sharing information on policy.
Mhm.
Why are we not sharing that with everyone?
Because that is some of the information, again, the way that we are exiting with the superintendent leaving, we have that little area. Steve was supposed to come last month, this month, next month, so we've been postponing it, and we are getting the start of the school year. So we had put it out there that if they had concerns about policies, Steve said, shoot them my way, so that's why I brought it up tonight.
So some of us have asked her specific questions, apparently.
Again,
more than
via
one person,
call,
so-
Corey, not email. You have a tendency not to like to talk to people.
I wonder what people.
Yeah.
Again,
So-
You're
I have
beginning to be
four.
out of order, so either
I am not
we're
out of
staying
order.
on a future agenda items, or we're
I
gonna
am
move on.
getting to a future agenda item, Madam President.
Well, go
So I
ahead.
want the agenda item to discuss how we share information amongst the board. Because moments ago, you had a discussion about you were going to give them information that we were then scheduling a meeting about. So it appears to me, and I'm giving you the opportunity to quelch that issue, that you're sharing specific information about an upcoming board meeting agenda item without sharing it with everybody.
That would be incorrect.
That was at the
Yes,
last
Prove-
meeting.
prove
Corey.
me wrong.
If people ask for specific information from her, she has the right to give that to us.
Until our superintendent left, we used to get, if someone made a request, everybody would get the information.
That is incorrect.
No, but am I
That's your
correct
opinion,
though?
ma'am.
When we
You're right.
met with Ann before the last meeting and this was addressed and she talked to the full board, if you had any policies you wanted changed or addressed, to please give her the list, Corey. That was at the
I'm not
meeting.
questioning that, Kelly.
Okay,
I'm questioning what was said tonight, that there's information being exchanged, and then we're gonna have a meeting to discuss this. And it appears that this information, the people that are making these changes, or discussing that issue, is going to be further informed or well in advance informed of the issue before the rest of the board gets to catch up. That is not a good way to run a board.
all right.
And until we have somebody in place, this was what we had worked on with Ann leaving, with Brent. Please share Steve's email for any board member
Yes.
that would like to discuss policies.
Right.
Any other future agenda items?
Amy, I'd like to hear what you've recorded so far about all this, because there's going to be future problems. We have a history in here of issues with board meeting minutes. Sometimes it's good to look at video, and sometimes it's not, depending on the whim of our leader.
You want me to share them with you
Sure.
now or when?
Yeah, I think it's important, it's pertinent. Because we may not be able to look at video when I question it later.
Brady always shares the video.
Well, yeah, but the board doesn't. Pan doesn't look at it. I mean, last time they voted not to review a video for factual information about how a board meeting transposed, so I'm
We're
just
not
asking-
bringing back a past.
Am I not? I'm
meeting.
asking her, I'm explaining her
Yes.
what question. What do we have recorded tonight?
Well, this isn't exactly what I put in my minutes either.
Okay, let's hit the highlights. I get you that you craft it and polish it, I mean, because we talk too fast and you've gotta just
Absolutely.
grab what you can and then you go back and review.
You asked for a future agenda item on Theo's conflict with the risk of him being putting the board at risk,
Right.
as well as himself. Diane said she will forward the information from Dean to you that was shared. Then you said, yes, Dean's opinion said he shouldn't be chair of that committee, it should be discussed if he's at risk individually or as a board, or the board as a body, and discuss it now or a future agenda item. And you asked if she was denying your request for a future agenda item, she said she's not denying it. Prior to Ann leaving the meeting between Dean and Kevin, that it was taken care of, and you reported the information from Ann. And you said, again, to protect his interest and the board. Diane said you can talk to Dean and we can put it on the agenda if you're not satisfied. You said you're asking this to be, and this as an agenda item. Also, why was no public press release on the superintendent put out by the board? Because that's their leadership, and why did they not put out a press release? Diane said that Channel 7 and 9 contacted her and she also was given information to a gentleman at the meeting, and anything that was requested was released to them, as well as a Gannett paper, and all was taken care of. And you asked why this was not communicated to the entire board. Then Diane said you weren't at the meeting, and it was clear with Ann as well, you were getting close to a walking quorum. When you responded in an email and you were told not to more than once. Barnes asked to move on. Corey also said the exiting superintendent and interim superintendent issue was with the community was a concern about the buyout or cost of Ann leaving. Brett is the second highest paid here, and he would like a cost comparison of the two for when he leaves. And then he said every time someone leaves, as far as administration, there should be a cost. So everyone will know what it is, and Barnes said that's a valid question. You then said,
Sorry, you're doing
Done a great
great.
job so
I'm
far.
totally impressed.
Then you addressed sharing the info between individual board members, how they earlier spoke about sharing the information on policies and why was it not shared with everyone. Diane said Steve was supposed to come and it was postponed, and if there were concerns about policies that you were to shoot him an email. And then she said you were getting out of order and we need to stay on future agenda items. Corey, you said how we should share information among the board is what you wanted as an agenda item, because it's not being shared with everyone else. Maple said if they were asking personal requests and she just responded to those. Zebro said when we met with Ann, if any policies wanted to be addressed, you were to give her a list. You said information was being exchanged and those people would be prepared well in advance because it wasn't shared with everyone. Diane said until someone is in place, please share this with Steve's email with any board member who wants changes or reviews.
Very
Very good.
good.
Amy.
Very good.
I'm done videotaping if she can.
Yeah.
That was good, Amy.
Anyone else? Okay, we will move on to item 15, movement into closed executive session. The board will go into closed executive session pursuant to section 19.85, paren 1, paren C of the statutes for the purpose of considering performance evaluation data of a public employee over which the school board exercises jurisdiction. Section 19.85, paren 1, paren C reads,